to show you how to use a module to monitor a student's progress. And all we're talking about is just how do they move from one item to the next. This doesn't have anything to do with the grade book. The grade book is a separate way of measuring a student's progress. Here, it says complete all items. And what that means is for every item that has an instruction, contribute, view, score at least 30 points out of 50, view, that's what's going to get monitored in this one function. Here's a resource that has no instruction. It's just a resource that students have available to them. And what this allows me to do is to see how does a student go from one part of this module to the next. And you do that by going over to View Progress. So we'll click on View Progress. And then you see your student list here. Okay, so Unit 1, the distance learning unit, this student completed all of the requirements for that module. And again, this is just to measure their progress through a module. This doesn't have anything to do with the grade they got in the grade book. Here, the student is a Unit 2 module. This one's in progress. Now, these are just reference pages. I did ask the student to view the page, but they're the same pages they saw in Unit 1. So I get that this student didn't view those pages, but she completed all of the other requirements. So I'm just mentally, I'll make a note to myself that even though it's in progress here, it's complete. Unlocked means that there were no prerequisites for it, and you could have had a prerequisite, which would be a previous module, and that would say locked if they haven't completed a previous module. But here, unlocked just means it's available to them. This is the module that they're going to start on this week. I'll click on another student, and you can see, okay, Unit 1 module, it's in progress, and there are a lot of items that need to be completed. Unit 2 module, it's unlocked, meaning the student has access to it, but they haven't made any progress on that particular module. This would be a student I'd want to communicate with. I'll take one more example here. Unit 1 module is complete. Okay, all the requirements were completed. Unit 2 is in progress. All right, that's a reference page. That's a reference page. But this is a quiz, so I may want to communicate with that student that, okay, you haven't completed a very important item in the Unit 2 module. So how do you set up those instructions? So you go back to Modules. Once you've set up your module, however you want to set it up, you click on these three dots. This is the top menu item right here. You click on these three dots and you click on Edit, and then you can set requirements. If I deselect this, that means there's no requirements, and that, in terms of seeing their progress through the module, if there's no requirements, it'll be marked as completed. So this is only useful if you set up requirements. So here I've set it so that students have to complete all of these requirements, and these are the requirements, these 4 things here. Not everything that's listed here. These are the requirements. And for each of these, you can set up a different value. Maybe you just want them to view it. On some instances, maybe you just want them to mark something as done. So maybe there's a page you created, there was a certain task they needed to do, and all you want them to do is communicate to you that they saw that task, they did it, and they're marking it as done. Contributing to the page, so they just make a contribution. Submitting the assignment. So in this case, I could have chosen submit the assignment. So contributing, this is the discussion. Perhaps they just like something. But here you could up the threshold, and you can even set it to score at least. Now some items, like this is a page, so there are, you'll see these 2 things are not selectable because it's just a page and it's not an assignment and they can't score anything on it. And you can set different things that you want them to do. Mark is done is very helpful. What they see is a little mark is done button over here. But some students, they'll view a page and they just don't click that little button. So for the distance learning, I'm satisfied with view the item. And then here I chose score at least, and you can set the value right there. Now you could also choose student must complete one of these requirements, and that means if they do one single one of these, then in terms of the progress meter, you're going to see that they've completed the module. So you have to, and that could be useful if there are options within a module. Let's say it's a small module and you have like 3 options, and you only want them to do one, or only one is required. That could be very helpful. But this is going to probably be the more helpful item. Now, if you click students must move through requirements in sequential order, what that means, this is the sequential order. What that means is they couldn't do anything down here until they complete these items. So you want to be careful on how you set that up. Is that what you really want? Is that really how you want students to progress through a module? If it is, then you want to click that. But just be aware that they won't be able to do anything that's below it, and they may not even be able to view some of these items. So you want to use this perhaps once students are really accustomed to moving through a module. This I find to be pretty useful, so that's why I'm using it. And it's just another way to see how students are progressing through the distance learning. The gradebook is one way. You can use the new analytics to view how students are moving through something. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, but the modules can be a very helpful way to measure a student's progress through something.